Lu Fan and Jian Ying remain under cover, dodging the barrage of spells. Lu Fan takes a moment to assess the glowing soul-like form of Xiaofei, the Emerald Dragon Lady. Without hesitation, he directs her to switch into her soul-light form and merge with Xiao Yi, the Black Dragon Lady. Xiaofei doesn't waste any time. She promptly follows the instructions because, well, dragon ladies don't procrastinate. With that done, Lu Fan and Jian Ying spring into action, running towards their next destination. Lu Fan orders Xiao Yi to shield Jian Ying, while casually mentioning that they're making their way toward the sacred tree of the flying dragon. No big deal, just another day in the life of dragon wranglers. Meanwhile, both dragon sisters, Xiaofei and Xiao Yi, start to emit a soft red and green aura. It's as if they've turned into a living traffic light. But trust me, no one's stopping here. Xiaofei engages her soul light switch, all while unleashing Soul Asylum and Soul. Xiaofei taps into her bloodline skill, a move that amplifies all skill effects for dragons, and anyone lucky enough to share the same bloodline. It's like a family discount, but for power-ups. As soon as she unleashes the Soul Asylum attack, the magic gets real. This ability boosts the attributes of a friendly target by a hopping 100 to 200% every time they take damage. But there's more. Instead of just soaking up the pain, the damage gets absorbed, stacking up in layers, each generating extra energy. When that energy is finally released, it hits with twice the force of the absorbed damage. Linked to the legendary Black Dragon, Xiao Yi, Xiaofei starts roaring because with that kind of power, who wouldn't? The buff is so strong it leaves her literally howling. Turns out the attributes of Xiao Yi, the legendary dragon, have skyrocketed to impressive new heights. Jian Ying, understandably, is left wide-eyed, stunned by the sheer power radiating from Xiao Yi. Lu Fan, ever the cool-headed strategist, calmly explains that Xiaofei's skills are especially effective when applied to dragons. Lu Fan contemplates the implications of the world-destroying form of Xiao Yi, now bolstered by Xiaofei's unique protection and bloodline traits. Xiao Yi's power currently sits at nearly 26,000, but he knows they must ascend the flying dragon's sacred tree without delay and give Xiao Yi Dragon's inspiration to break through her power to over 30,000. It's like flipping a switch from strong to unstoppable. Suddenly, Lu Fan and the dragons notice multiple elemental spells heading straight for them. Unfazed, Lu Fan instructs Xiao Yi to keep moving forward without retaliating and let Xiaofei to absorb all the damage. Just as the spells collide with Xiaofei, she channels her soul light, absorbing their energy on command. Then, with a single order from Lu Fan, she unleashes a devastating soul shock attack, turning the absorbed spells into a powerful counterstrike. The sheer force causes massive destruction, and smaller dragon species plummet from the towering trees. Jian Ying turns around and witnesses Xiaofei in action, marveling at the sheer power on display. Lu Fan explains that the Soul Asylum skill of Xiaofei not only protects Xiao Yi, but also gathers incoming damage to unleash as a counterattack, with the potency doubling if the target happens to be a dragon. Because, of course, dragons always get the VIP treatment in battles. As Jian Ying runs alongside Lu Fan, she contemplates how upgrading a dragon feels strangely familiar, like enhancing her own weapon abilities. Yet there's something about this that feels entirely new, like Lu Fan is revealing a whole new discipline she's never encountered. It's like finding out your sword can also cast spells and bake cookies. Realizing the power gap between them, Jian Ying starts to think that even her strongest card, the Scythe of Calamity, wouldn't be enough to match Lu Fan's sheer mastery. Just as this thought crosses her mind, Lu Fan suddenly stops, his senses alert. He can feel the presence of a powerful dragon leader nearby. Then he spots it, a massive gray-colored dragon. Recognizing it instantly, he knows it's the level 60 steel-framed flying dragon. This formidable beast boasts several dangerous skills. Its steel storm amplifies its spinning motion with swirling winds that damage and slow down any targets caught within, like getting stuck in a really aggressive blender. Another skill, Steel Round Thrust, lets the dragon charge at its target, instantly crushing those with lower endurance. And if that's not enough, the dragon's Reinforced Iron Bone reduces all damage it takes by 50%, making it a walking, flying fortress of impenetrable defense. The steel dragon locks its sights on Lu Fan, letting out a deafening roar before launching a steel bone thrust attack. Moving with incredible speed, it charges straight toward him. Xiao Yi, ever watchful, notices the steel dragon racing at her master, prepared to strike. Jian Ying, observing the scene, realizes that the steel dragon belongs to the same subdragon species as the fighting Wu dragon. She understands they'll need to assist the dragon lady in battle. However, Lu Fan remains calm, reassuring Jian Ying not to worry. He quickly instructs Xiaofei to prepare her soul impact attack. Without hesitation, Xiaofei begins to glow with a faint green aura and activates the powerful soul shot technique. This move steadily draws in the dragon's energy, charging the attack to its full potential, because when it comes to dragon battles, you go big or go home. At the same time, Lu Fan radiates a golden aura using dragon inspiration to boost all of the dragon's attributes and attack power by 30%. As a result, Xiaofi's soul impact powers up even more, ready to unleash devastation. Meanwhile, Xiao Yi in her legendary World Destroyer form roars, shaking the battlefield. Xiaofi then releases her soul impact, disrupting the steel dragon's charging skill. The collision between Xiaofi's attack and the steel dragon's thrust causes a massive explosion of energy, the sheer force of their clash sending shockwaves through the battlefield. Lu Fan and Jian Ying watch the steel dragon intently, both preparing for their final attacks. Jian Ying, feeling the weight of the battle, summons her Karma Scythe. Though she might seem insignificant next to a dragon tamer like Lu Fan, she knows she must fight, not just for herself, but as part of the team. Because even in a dragon showdown, teamwork makes the dream work. Without hesitation, she grabs her Karma Scythe, switching its attribute to dark energy. With a swift motion, she unleashes the Scythe of Calamity Eruption, slicing through the steel dragon's head as if it were made of butter. But the victory is short-lived. The steel dragon immediately activates its reinforced iron bone ability, cutting the damage it receives by 50%. Jian Ying, frustrated, informs Lu Fan that her attacks are ineffective against the steel dragon's defenses. Lu Fan, however, simply smiles. He reassures her that it doesn't matter, as her willingness to contribute is what counts. Suddenly, the steel dragon lunges forward, nearly engulfing Lu Fan. Jian Ying, panic-stricken, screams at him to move out of the way. In response, Lu Fan remains calm and quickly instructs Xiaofi to use soul binding on him. As the steel dragon draws closer, Lu Fan swiftly wields his large black mashie and delivers a devastating dragon fang strike straight into the soft interior of the dragon's mouth. This ferocious attack becomes the steel dragon's downfall. Talk about a toothache. With the victory, Xiao Yi reaches level 20 and gains a new skill, Coercion. Xiaofei seizes the moment, transforming into her dragon girl form and quickly embracing her master, beating the legendary black dragon to it. Sibling rivalry, even in dragon form, knows no bounds. This does not sit well with the older sister, Xiao Yi, who finds it completely unacceptable. Meanwhile, Jian Ying can't help but wonder, if a level 15 legendary black dragon could crush a steel-bone flying dragon with a single blow, what could a level 20 black dragon do? Let's just hope it doesn't involve more sibling squabbles. But more importantly, neither of the dragons seems to care about level caps or anything else for that matter, as they begin fighting each other. Jian Ying also levels up to 25. Suddenly, Jian Ying begins laughing, catching Lu Fan off guard. When he asks what's so funny, she explains that she remembered a dull joke Xiaoman once told. With such a strong dragon, even if there is a dog nearby, it could rampage through everything. Surprised, Lu Fan remarks that she certainly knows how to tell a joke, something he hadn't realized before. Meanwhile, the two dragon sisters continue their fight for their master's attention, oblivious to the conversation. Jian Ying then confides in Lu Fan, admitting that spending so much time with him might be changing her. Lu Fan, with a sly smile, notes that she seems more talkative now, adding that when they first met, he thought her voice was really pleasant. His smooth words leave Jian Ying flustered, realizing he struck a chord. He compliments her further, saying she has a lovely voice and is quite charming, then asks if anyone had ever told her that before. As they venture deeper into the forest, Jian Ying opens up, confessing that she rarely spoke to anyone and had no friends. In response, Lu Fan suggests they avoid dwelling on unpleasant memories and instead focus on getting to know each other better. However, noticing the dragon sisters still squabbling, he quickly reprimands them, telling them that enough is enough. Meanwhile, atop the flying dragon's sacred tree, a blue egg glows brightly amidst a web of spider threads. Xiao Yi and Xiao Fei have finally made up and are now playing together. Meanwhile, Jian Ying informs Lu Fan that she has reached level 25. Upon hearing this, Lu Fan asks if she has unlocked any new weapons. Without hesitation, Jian Ying materializes a purplish sword named Myriad Blossoms, which floats effortlessly in the air. This unique weapon can split into thousands of smaller blades, each with 1% of the original sword's attack power. After inflicting damage, the smaller blades return to form the original sword. She explains that while the weapon has agility attributes and is highly effective, it's only at level 1, so its power is still quite low. Lu Fan smiles and reassures her, saying that while the sword might seem weak now, once she levels it up to 25, it will be a completely different beast. Despite Lu Fan's encouragement, Jian Ying can't shake the thought that even if all her swords were upgraded to level 25, unleashing their full destructive power, they still wouldn't match the damage of a single strike from Xiao Yi. She realizes that being in the same group as Lu Fan comes with the pressure of constant comparisons. With a sarcastic tone, Jian Ying remarks that if others echoed his confidence, she might actually start to believe him. Lu Fan smiles, amused, and asks if she doesn't believe him. He reassures her that once her weapon reaches level 25, she'll definitely be able to defeat a few opponents at the Dragon Academy, armed with just her sword. Jian Ying then urges him to hurry. She insists they need to get far away before nightfall. Suddenly, both Lu Fan and Jian Ying, along with the dragon's sisters, come to an abrupt stop. They spotted someone lying on the ground in a pitiful state. Lu Fan scans the area, his eyes quickly picking up on multiple bodies and even skeletons scattered around. He deduces they stumbled upon a former explorer's campsite, now a graveyard for seasoned adventurers. Jian Ying points to a nearby skeleton, noting that the man had clearly been dead for a long time. Lu Fan examines the body in front of him, lost in thought. He realizes these were likely seasoned fighters who met their unfortunate end here, possibly ambushed by a monster. Without hesitation, Lu Fan materializes his large black mashie, informing Jian Ying that the area is likely crawling with monsters, urging her to stay on high alert. Unbeknownst to him, a crimson eye watches them from behind a nearby tree. Jian Ying, equally uneasy, begins to suspect that the bodies and skeletons might be part of an elaborate trap. Before they can analyze the situation further, the ground behind them erupts as a green hand with small horns smashes through the earth. Just as Lu Fan and Jian Ying turn around, they are met with the sight of a massive level 60 bronze flying dragon. This dragon, with its formidable bronze armor skill, significantly boosts the defense of its allies, while its defense barrier skill reduces attack power by 100% and doubles defense. The creature emerges slowly from the trees, its devilish eyes fixed on the group. But the surprises don't stop there. A massive shadow looms above, and as they glance up, they realize it's a three-headed elemental dragon, a fearsome level 64 beast. Each of its heads wields a different elemental power: ice, fire, and thunder. Together, the three heads unleash devastating elemental magic, causing 300% area damage. Worse yet, its elemental companion's skill allows it to resurrect its fallen heads, with each resurrection taking longer but still inevitable. Startled by the sudden appearance of not one but two boss-level monsters, Lu Fan and Jian Ying realize they've walked into a potential trap. Before they can strategize, the three-headed dragon begins its assault with a tri-elemental magic attack. Reacting instinctively, Xiao Yi, the legendary Black Dragon Lady, damages one of the heads, disrupting its thunder magic. In response, the bronze dragon quickly enhances the three-headed dragon's defense, frustrating their initial attack strategy. Seeing the bronze dragon's intervention, Jian Ying suggests focusing on it first to stand a chance against the more powerful beast. Smiling, Lu Fan materializes his large black mashie, assuring her of his readiness with a countermeasure, though details remain scarce. Mystery plans always make the fight more interesting, right? Lu Fan instructs Xiao Fi, the Emerald Dragon Lady, to prepare her shock attack, hinting at a significant upcoming assault. Xiao Yi shifts into her World Destroyer form, ready to take on both dragons. Empowered by her lineage, Xiao Fi launches her Soul Impact attack, channeling potent dragon energy into a concentrated strike. Amidst this, the triple-headed dragon releases a fire attack, which Xiao Yi narrowly dodges. Lu Fan then suggests Xiao Yi use her newly acquired skill, Coercion, which she does with a roar, applying fear, immobilization, and stun effects broadly, affecting all enemies within range, including each head of the triple-headed dragon. That's one way to put a dragon on pause. As the impact skill charges, Lu Fan prepares his massive black mashie for a dragon strike, aiming to disrupt the bronze dragon's protective skills while dealing substantial damage. Unfazed, he then turns to Xiao Yi, signaling that the bronze armor's effect has ended. With a fierce roar, Xiao Yi slashes at the triple-headed beast, severing all three heads in a single fluid motion. The monster collapses, oozing green fluid, and the system notifies them of Xiao Yi's advancement to level 22 and Lu Fan's to 27. Level up. Lu Fan praises Xiao Fi and Xiao Yi for their excellent teamwork. Meanwhile, Jian Ying, feeling somewhat out of place and overshadowed, receives a flurry of notifications indicating her weapon has reached level 6, but still feels disheartened compared to Lu Fan's prowess. Exhausted from the battle, Lu Fan suggests the group rest while the dragon's sisters guard the campsite. Jian Ying agrees. As night falls, Jian Ying brings food prepared by Lu Fan's aunt. She reaches the tent only to find it empty except for a burning campfire. Concerned, she worries Lu Fan has ventured out alone, feeling burdened by his role. Meanwhile, Lu Fan is climbing a spider nest filled with remorse from Jian Ying. However, his true purpose for coming here in the dragon's symmetry is to uncover a god-level treasure map bestowed by the system. There he sports two mysterious spiderweb-like eggs in the spider nest. The spiderweb-like structures begin to crack, signaling an imminent emergence. Lu Fan is stunned as two eggs hatch, unleashing two roaring monsters, the souls of the Flying Dragon King, nightmare-level bosses at level 70. Their arsenal includes elemental dragon breath, capable of fire, thunder, or wind damage, and soul assault, a penetrating strike enhanced by their flying dragon bloodline. These creatures rank among the most daunting adversaries Lu Fan has ever encountered. The Flying Dragon King, a notorious sub-dragon species, slashes all damage in half due to its innate resistance. Although its dragon language magic is sealed, it's ready to unleash ancient powers, forcing Lu Fan and Xiao Yi to contend for the title of main character. Despite learning that the final boss of the level 55 Nightmare Secret Realm is actually at level 70, Lu Fan remains undaunted, his smile betraying a readiness to tackle yet another challenge. He orders the dragon ladies to approach the battle with utmost seriousness as the Dragon Kings launch their attack. Meanwhile, Nian Ying and Lu Fan's tent hears the distant roars and senses trouble. Recalling Lu Fan's numerous rescues, she debates whether her presence hinders his progress, questioning her desire to assist at all. Back at the front lines, Lu Fan grapples with the immense pressure from the Dragon King, wielding his big black mashite for protection. Facing this level 70 Nightmare boss proves even tougher than the Great Destroying Emperor from the Grand Selection examination. His exhaustion is palpable, his eyes flickering with the strain. Lu Fan directs the legendary Black Dragon to initiate the Lava Flame attack and engage Dragon's inspiration, boosting her attributes and attack power by 30%. Xiao Yi transforms into her World Destroyer form and hurls a scorching lava ball at the Flying Dragon King, causing continuous damage and healing herself. Suddenly, the second Dragon King ambushes Lu Fan with a Soul Assault attack designed to breach defenses. Lu Fan swiftly commands Xiao Fei to adopt her eternal form in preparation. Out of the blue, multiple blades rain down on the Dragon King, a surprising intervention by Nian Ying, who has decided to aid Lu Fan. She reassures him of her support from a safe distance, but remains cautious about her own safety. Lu Fan, with a grin, instructs the Eternal Emerald Dragon to activate the Pulse of Life and Eternal Guard. This skill envelops all allies within range in emerald light, amplifying their effects by 24 times. Lu Fan further enhances this with Emerald Blessing, granting dual emerald buffs simultaneously and doubling the Pulse of Life layers with the Bloodline Pact intensifying the effect. Again, Xiao Yi amasses a staggering 12 layers of enhancement. The World Destroyer Dragon and Lu Fan, wielding dragon language magic, unleash a thunderous energy ball. They strike the Dragon King with full force. Jian Ying is awestruck by their power, but Lu Fan remains on edge, cautioning her as the boss activates its dragon language skill. Just then, the Flying Dragon emits a thunderous roar and launches its Doomsday Fall attack, a devastating move that sacrifices its health to deal massive damage, potentially 2,000% of the sacrificed health, aiming for a fiery self-sacrifice. Just as the smoke clears, Xiao Fei, with impeccable timing, activates its Eternal Guard skill, shielding Lu Fan and the entire group from the explosive attack. Jian Ying, relieved, smiles, having been saved again by Lu Fan and his dragons. Notifications flood in. Lu Fan's Sword's Shadow ability hits level 28 and his new weapon reaches level 10. Lu Fan, now smiling, thanks Xiao Fei in her human form, patting the green pet for her heroic save, but the older dragon lady, Xiao Yi, looks displeased for lacking praise. Feeling the tension, Lu Fan quickly credits their victory to Xiao Yi's high damage output, easing the mood. Jian Ying, shifting the topic, admits that she used to think high-level boss battles were overhyped but now understands the true peril after fighting the Flying Dragon. Lu Fan concurs, acknowledging the intensity of his first-level 70 Nightmare boss encounter. In a twist, what seemed a looming defeat merely ends in a tie. Recalling he left Jian Ying alone at night, Lu Fan hastily apologizes, explaining his unintentional encounter with the Nightmare boss. Jian Ying, understanding, reassures him, expressing faith in his character. She blushes and insists that despite Lu Fan's strength, she won't let him face every battle alone. After defeating the Dragon King, Lu Fan is greeted with a chest that suddenly opens before him, leaving him astonished. Inside the chest, Lu Fan discovers legendary items including the Soul Wings of the Dragon King, which provides 356 agility, 291 strength, and 246 spirit. This item grants the ability to fly and enhances flying speed, especially for those with dragon magic, who can also access specific spells. Just as Lu Fan marvels at these newfound abilities, he realizes true flying transcends mere gliding, accessible only to certain professions, a power he regrettably can't utilize at his current level. The next item, a mystical pet mount, merges the attributes of the rider and pet, amplifying long-range attacks, hinting at transformation possibilities when he reaches level 30. The third item is the late dragon bone flute. Its effect summons the spirits of the twin flying dragon kings, a power unfortunately limited to only 7 uses. Lu Fan, holding the flute, updates the system and contemplates his next move. Suddenly, Jian Yang, sensing something odd, draws Lu Fan's attention to Xiao Fei, who begins to glow intensely, puzzling both. Xiao Fei seems to be healing a giant tree, prompting Lu Fan to speculate if the flying dragon tree is interacting with them. Just as they ponder this unusual occurrence, the plants around them stir, hinting at a hidden mission. Just when they thought the adventure was over, the game throws in a plot twist wrapped in roots and mystery. The system reveals that this is a follow-up mission involving the restoration of the sacred tree, now under threat from the Abyssal Dragon's minions. The quest is to slay the Abyssal Dragon and soak this seed in its blood as the proof. In return, Lu Fan will surely earn the favor of the tree's original master, the Life Dragon, the root of all true power. Meanwhile, Lu Fan retrieves the seed, his mind flashing back to the mission details. The target is none other than the Abyssal Dragon, a fearsome creature from the lower realms, infamous for its demon-devouring tendencies. This isn't just any dragon, its rank far surpasses that of a nightmare, placing it in a league of its own, making even the bravest hesitate. Lu Fan notes the task level requirements, which range from level 60 and 3 to level 90 and 4, meaning there's some room to grow for facing this beast head-on. The system chimes in, announcing the acquisition of the flying dragon's sacred tree seed. Xiao Fei, smiling, gently takes Lu Fan's hand, and he responds with appreciation. Without her, they would have never unlocked the secret to healing the sacred tree. This discovery also counts as a mission, a nice bonus. Lu Fan, in a rather amusing scene, begins feeding Xiao Fei like a small child. He then turns to Xiao Fei with a raised eyebrow and asks her if she could consume this flute. At this, Nian Yang and both dragon sisters freeze, thoroughly puzzled by the question. Lu Fan, ever the calm one, raises his hands with a grin and encourages Xiao Fei to give it a shot. Xiao Fei steps up without hesitation and begins eating. Lu Fan quickly explains that Xiao Fei possesses a unique ability called natural assimilation, which allows her to gain the attributes of any equipment she consumes. Just as she devours the flute effortlessly, jaws drop all around. Everyone is astonished at how easily she handles it. Lu Fan, in disbelief, can't help but ask if she really just ate that without any trouble. Nian Yang, equally stunned, remarks on how Xiao Fei is chewing and swallowing it like it's a piece of fruit. Just as she finishes savoring the flute, the system pops up again with a notification. Lu Fan announces that Xiao Fei can now summon 2 Dragon Kings, and the previous 3-use limitation is gone too. Just then, Xiao Fei uses her newly acquired skill, summoning the 2 Dragon Kings. They emerge with a deafening roar, their power now synced with Xiao Fei, currently at level 18. The neighbor lady, Nian Yang, stares in disbelief, unable to process how a post has turned into a summon. Lu Fan casually notes that the size of the Dragon Kings has shrunk considerably, but at least now Xiao Fei has her own pets. Nian Yang, still processing, wonders aloud if this makes them a dragon pets. She shakes her head, reflecting on how Lu Fan just keeps getting more unbelievable. She then suggests they head back since clearing such a high-level secret realm has left her exhausted. Sister Han will be worried if they don't return soon. Lu Fan waves her off, telling her to go ahead. He'll catch up later. Opening up his map, Lu Fan reflects on an important task he still has to complete. Later, back at the villa in the Dragon Capital Academy, Lu Fan holds a meeting with Xiao Yi and Xiao Fei. It's a cozy gathering, but the tension is clear. They've been living together for quite some time, and now Lu Fan feels it's time to address a pressing issue. In front of them sits another dragon egg, which Lu Fan has just retrieved. He notes with frustration that Xiao Fei gets bullied by Xiao Yi daily, and this can no longer be tolerated. Dragons really need a sibling rivalry support group. Both dragon ladies are fixated on the egg, clearly more interested in their future sibling than in Lu Fan's attempt at diplomacy. Furious, Lu Fan asks if they're even paying attention. He knows they're excited, but they should take a moment to appreciate that this egg represents their soon-to-arrive new family member. The egg is a star dragon egg, and while trying to tame it, Lu Fan decides to have some fun. He asks the dragon ladies if they can guess whether it's a brother or a sister. However, his dragon-taming efforts fall flat, and the system bluntly informs him that at his current level, he can only tame 2 dragons at best. If he wants to add another to his collection, he'll need to hit level 30 first. Lu Fan sighs and tells them they'll have to head to the poison spider forest to level up. The next morning, there's a knock at Lu Fan's door. When he opens it, he finds two ladies standing there looking slightly panicked. Confused, he asks what's going on. Kim shows Lu Fan a post and explains that it has gone viral across the school. Lu Fan, rubbing his eyes with one hand while clutching a book in the other, grumbles about being woken up so early just to see a post. Kim, undeterred, continues explaining that the post is about Lu Fan withdrawing from the fresher exam. Someone posted it on the school forum yesterday, and now it's the top trending topic. The post boasts that Fengyun Pavilion has made it to the final round of the freshman 2-of-2 competition, and there's apparently no one left to challenge them. Kim elaborates further, clarifying that Fengyun Pavilion, originally a team of 4 ranked between numbers 3 and 6, has now expanded to nearly 30 members, evolving into a powerhouse across several classes, led by Jiang Fengyun and Xiu Jing. Lu Fan, still half amused, reminds them that he's the school's designated number 1. Hearing that Jiang Fengyun has suddenly declared himself as the new number 1 makes him chuckle. It's cute how some people crown themselves so quickly. The ladies inform him that Jiang Fengyun has boldly announced he will clear out the number 1 villa after the finals tomorrow. They add that winning the top spot grants participation in the nation's trial selection process, which Jiang Fengyun is clearly gunning for. Lu Fan reflects for a moment, knowing full well that Jiang Fengyun is in it for the fame and a shot at the national trials. Too bad Jiang doesn't realize Lu Fan has already secured those prizes like a kid grabbing the last cookie in the jar only to find out it was reserved. Both ladies express their concern, but Lu Fan waves it off, assuring them not to worry. Fengyun Pavilion may be targeting him, but he's more than happy to give them what they want. With a playful glint in his eye, he tells them, "Let's have some fun with Fengyun Pavilion." Turning to Kim, he asks to borrow her tablet for a moment. It's time to respond to Fengyun Pavilion's challenge, and Lu Fan's all in. Inside the VIP room of the Dragon Kingdom Arena, Xiu Jing, a hidden combat class forbidden sorcerer, calmly scrolls through his tablet. Meanwhile, Jiang Fengyun, blindfolded and mid-spar, suddenly freezes when Xiu Jing mentions that Lu Fan has actually responded. Without missing a beat, Jiang Fengyun's friends, sparring with him, watch in disbelief as he activates his projection skill, summoning multiple clones of himself. His minions are in disbelief. Jiang Fengyun is using this powerful skill during a casual sparring match. Within not time, the clones swiftly defeat his sparring partners. Removing his blindfold, Jiang Fengyun casually orders his friend to heal the team. Jiang Fengyun, a hidden combat class shadow warrior, wants to know what Lu Fan has said on the forum. Xiu Jing, still amused, informs him that Lu Fan has posted something he needs to read. After a quick glance at the post, Jiang Fengyun smirks. Oh, Lu Fan, always one for grand gestures. Apparently, Lu Fan has challenged the entire Fengyun Pavilion for the top spot. The shadow warrior rolls his eyes at Lu Fan's bravado, telling Xiu Jing to respond and invite Lu Fan to the arena after the finals tomorrow. Xiu Jing can hardly believe Jiang Fengyun is really planning to face off with Lu Fan. Still, he plays along, preparing to gather everyone in the Fengyun Pavilion. Jiang Fengyun, now grinning like a devil with a plan, suddenly turns serious. He declares that Lu Fan needs to understand the real number 1 is chosen through actual competition, not just handed the title by the school. Meanwhile, Lu Fan and his group are having a casual get-together when one of the ladies excitedly announces that the Fengyun Pavilion has accepted the challenge and Jiang Fengyun is set to compete in a semifinal match today. Lu Fan, however, shows no interest at all. He'd rather spend his time leveling up in the Poison Spider's secret realm. Priorities right. But just then his aunt appears, reminding him that he can't just say whatever he wants. Overconfidence leads to failure, and it's always wise to know one's opponent. One of the ladies suggests that Lu Fan should at least show up at the arena. She conteases that Lu Fan's supporters might outnumber those from Fengyun Pavilion, though she's concerned he's the hot topic on the campus forum. If he's spotted watching Jiang Fengyun in advance, rumors could spread faster than wildfire. And who needs that drama? In response, Lu Fan's aunt suggests maybe her boy could go in disguise. Soon after, the two ladies accompany a fully disguised Lu Fan, dark hoodie, mask, the whole undercover look, to the arena to watch Jiang Fengyun's semifinal match. Even Lu Fan's aunt is pleased with his choice of disguise, confident that no one will recognize him under that shadowy attire. It's like stealth mode, but fashionable. Just as the master Gu Han announces the start of the semifinals for this year's freshman assessment, Lu Fan suddenly gets up from his seat and starts heading out. His aunt, surprised, asks where he's going since the match hasn't even begun. Lu Fan casually replies that the match is too boring for his taste, so he's going for a walk. He instructs her to call him when it's over. Meanwhile, the vice principal watches the disguised Lu Fan as the crowd welcomes the semifinal teams. Lost in thought, the vice principal drifts into a flashback. He recalls standing outside the principal's office, slamming the door and asking if the principal had heard about the latest posts on the campus forum, specifically the challenge between Lu Fan and Jiang Fengyun. Without opening the door, the principal calmly replies, saying to let Gyun handle the minor issues among the freshmen. But the vice principal is concerned. Given Lu Fan's strength, the school should intervene before the challenge escalates beyond campus. After all, Lu Fan might not even realize how powerful he truly is. Ken Tianzi is still recovering in the infirmary after his match with him. The principal, however, isn't fazed. He reminds the vice principal that the Dragon Capital envoy is arriving in a month to assess whether Lu Fan qualifies for the national trial. That, in his opinion, is the real issue. Talk about priorities. The vice principal is stunned to learn the envoy is coming in just a month. The principal explains that the national trial date has been moved up, so the envoy's inspection is also earlier. Curious, the principal asks what Lu Fan is currently preparing for, and the vice principal mentions that Lu Fan is about to undergo his second-class change. The vice principal reflects on the envoy, Qiangshang, notorious for his arrogance but generally fair. However, the principal quickly corrects him. Qiangshang is no longer the envoy. The current Dragon Capital envoy is Ruan Changfeng. Cue dramatic twist. The vice principal recalls hearing from Mr. Qin that Ruan Changfeng's downfall was tied to an incident involving Lu Fan and the princess, leading him to believe Ruan might hold a grudge. The principal confirms that Ruan had once held a high-ranking position, but after multiple demotions, he's now just an envoy. Sensing the vice principal's silence, the principal asks why he's suddenly so quiet. Apologizing, the vice principal expresses concern that Lu Fan could face serious challenges if Ruan Changfeng is in charge of the national trial selection. The principal, however, reassures him not to worry. Lu Fan is his personally approved candidate for the trial. Nothing like having the boss's seal of approval. Relieved but still determined, the vice principal vows to find more resources to help Lu Fan complete his second-class change as soon as possible to offset the level gap. Before leaving, he wonders aloud if the principal plans to watch the battle between Lu Fan and Jiang Fengyun. With a hearty laugh, the principal responds that he wouldn't miss such a lively event for the world. And with that, the flashback ends. Meanwhile, in the points room of the Academy's arena, professionals are lined up, stunned as they drop out one by one. They can't believe how many have already been defeated. A 100-point arena shouldn't be this tough. Reading the board, they suspect it must be a second-class job holder pretending to be at level 29, trying to cheat them and steal their points. Gotta love a sneaky arena trick. Outside the room, they're warning others not to enter, claiming anyone who goes inside will definitely lose. No one seems to know who the mysterious arena master is, and when they ask around, people agree he looks familiar, but no one can quite recognize him. Inside the room, the arena master is none other than Lu Fan himself. He's reflecting that instead of wasting time on a lifeless match, he should be out leveling up in the poison spider forest. Suddenly, someone steps into the points arena. At first, it seems like just another challenger, but as Lu Fan looks closer, he sees it's a beautiful lady with long white hair and a striking black dress. She greets him with a smile, asking if he has time for a match. Lu Fan greets her, respectfully calling her a senior, but the lady only smiles, playing with her hair. She teases him, saying he'll need to show a bit more respect if he wants her to spare him. Lu Fan, however, keeps a serious look behind his glasses, telling her there's no need to hold back. Hearing that, the lady's enthusiasm kicks in. She begins to float fierce flames, suddenly engulfing her entire body. With excitement, she tells Lu Fan that she's going all out. Okay, so maybe she's not just here for a friendly spar. Even Lu Fan realizes that this lady isn't as simple as she first appeared. But just like it's simple to hit the subscribe button and leave a like, yes, shameless plug, but it helps the channel. The situation escalates. Her lady's dress burns away, and in its place, some kind of sexy armor materializes, suiting her perfectly. Lu Fan knows now that this opponent is serious business. Before Lu Fan can react, the lady vanishes into thin air. Suddenly, she appears behind him, playfully announcing that this senior sister is not like the classmates standing outside. She materializes a large fire trident, and yes, it looks totally epic as she smiles at Lu Fan, warning him that holding back would be a mistake. She immediately attacks, thrusting the fiery trident toward him. Lu Fan manages to defend himself by materializing his big black mashite, but the force is so overwhelming that he's pushed back, sliding several meters across the ground. He can't help but wonder what level of power this woman possesses. The lady, surprised that Lu Fan blocked her attack, starts teasing him. She asks if he's too scared to strike a pretty lady, then seductively licks her finger, taunting him further. She tells him if he's still holding back, he's being far too timid. But her mind is already made up. She's determined to teach him a lesson. Lu Fan, with a calm yet fierce look, replies that he understands and prepares for his counterattack. Their eyes meet, both filled with passion and the fire of competition. The fight intensifies as Lu Fan's big black mashi clashes with the lady's flaming trident. Blow after blow, they exchange attacks, their battle growing more heated with each passing moment. Meanwhile, outside the arena, the students are in disbelief. The beautiful lady who just entered the ring is proving to be incredibly strong, but they sense something unusual about her. She's overly excited, unlike the others who barely lasted 2 minutes. Some students even think she might be struggling just to hold on. At that moment, an announcement is made. The battle between Jang Fengyun and his opponent is over, and Jang Fengyun has emerged as the winner. The crowd erupts into cheers. His friend approaches, telling him that word has spread. Lu Fan sneaked into the auditorium to observe the battle. Jang Fengyun only smiles, dismissing it as useless. He hadn't even faced a formidable enemy and didn't show half his strength in the entire round. Suddenly, Jang Fengyun points toward the audience, shouting at the top of his lungs. He taunts Lu Fan, warning him not to be arrogant for long and challenging him not to run away from their battle tomorrow. This public display is nothing but a strategy to draw a crowd, and soon, the audience is shouting and cheering in excitement. Meanwhile, one of the Lu Fan's friend quickly looks around, but Lu Fan's already gone. Qin, confused, wonders how they even knew Lu Fan had watched the match. His aunt reveals that Lu Fan hadn't even watched the match in the first place. He found it too boring and left long ago. She decides to call him to check where he went. Meanwhile, Lu Fan is still locked in battle with that mysterious lady, defending himself from her relentless attacks. He's baffled by how powerful this senior is and wonders about her background. Suddenly, his phone starts ringing, distracting him. The lady, noticing this, grabs hold of his hat and compliments him on his defense. She praises Lu Fan for improving so much in just 15 minutes, especially since they were unfamiliar with each other's fighting styles. Even Lu Fan realizes that this lady could have knocked him out with 2 strikes if she wanted to, but it feels like she's guiding him instead, helping him discover weaknesses in his movements. He can't quite understand why she's doing this or who she really is. She continues smiling and teasing him, pointing out that he just needs a bit more endurance and stamina. Shocked, Lu Fan doesn't know how to respond as the lady gets closer, a little too close, actually her curves nearly spilling out. She inspects his face, curious why he was hiding it. Before he can answer, his phone rings again. Apologizing to the lady, Lu Fan answers the call, while she stands by, smiling as beautifully as ever. After taking the call, Lu Fan turns back to thank his senior for teaching him so many melee combat skills. He's eager to learn more and asks if she can leave her contact information so they can meet again. The lady, now dressed in her black outfit once more, laughs, teasing him for being a freshman who's already asking for the numbers of pretty girls. Shocked by the misunderstanding, Lu Fan quickly clarifies that he only wanted her contact to schedule more training sessions in the arena, but the lady keeps walking away, telling him to forget about it. If he wants to see her again, all he needs to do is open a points room in the fighting arena. If she's available, she'll come back to him. No promises, but there's a chance. Hearing everything, Lu Fan starts wondering about the true identity of the mysterious senior. Maybe she seemed like a senior because of her age, but her strength felt nothing like a student's. Lu Fan starts to question if she might actually be a teacher, but the real mystery is if such a stunning woman even exists in the academy. Suddenly, a notification pops up. 100 points were awarded to Lu Fan by the opponent. Confused, Lu Fan can't understand why he's being given points when he was clearly defeated. Determined to figure it out, he bolts out of the arena in search of the senior lady, but no matter how much he searches, she's nowhere to be found. As he runs around, students tell him to calm down and stop running through the dormitories like a madman. But Lu Fan is lost in thought, unable to shake why she didn't ask for any points or reveal her true identity. She had vanished in an instant. He starts doubting himself, was she even real? He wonders if he encountered a pretty spirit haunting the academy. Just then, his aunt appears, excitedly yelling at him to come over so they can head back together. Meanwhile, Qin and Min overhear Lu Fan muttering about his senior sister, and Min immediately jumps in, teasing him about hooking up with another girl. But Lu Fan, too deep in his disappointment about not finding the mysterious woman, ignores them. The next day, the freshman assessment finals are underway, and the academy arena is packed with an excited crowd. A sheer number of students surprises the audience. One of them wonders if Lu Fan and Jang Fengyun are really that famous, but another spectator chimes in, reminding them that Lu Fan challenged the entire Fengyun pavilion alone. Whether Lu Fan is capable of pulling it off or just ridiculously arrogant, everyone's about to find out. It feels like this match is the real final of the whole competition. The entire Fengyun pavilion gathers inside the arena, and Jang Fengyun grows impatient, frustrated that Lu Fan hasn't shown up yet. He threatens to march over to Villa number 1 himself if Lu Fan doesn't arrive soon. His friend next to him advises patience, telling him to wait for a moment. Suddenly, they spot someone racing toward them from near the restrooms. Finally, it dawns on them. It's Lu Fan running at insane speeds. Fengyun tells everyone to prepare for battle as Lu Fan approaches. Lu Fan waves to the crowd, apologizing for being a bit late, and casually announces that he wants to start the match quickly. After all, he's got more important things to do than this. Lu Fan smiles confidently, addressing the Fengyun Pavilion crowd. He admits he doesn't know exactly how many of them there are, but he knows one thing. Whatever comes together, goes together. He makes a cutthroat gesture, and it's enough to intimidate one of the giants from the Fengyun Pavilion. Furious, the giant begins hurling insults at Lu Fan, demanding how he dares to speak to Fengyun like that, claiming Lu Fan is asking for death. But before the man can continue, Fengyun steps in, stopping him. Fengyun declares that since Lu Fan isn't taking them seriously, there's no need for idle chatter. Fengyun immediately wagers 7,000 points on the match. Lu Fan, momentarily forgetting about the point system, searches his pockets and pulls out his card, declaring he will bet 17,000 points. He checks his total minus 17,643 points. Fengyun's friend protests, saying they don't have enough points to match that. But Fengyun, driven by his desire for revenge, silences his team, thinking that if he wins, those 17,000 points will set him up for years of carefree spending. He rallies the entire pavilion, telling them to wager all their points and trust in his judgment. Bold move, but overconfidence is a dangerous game. The pavilion members gather their points, reaching 17,000. Some of them warn Fengyun that if they don't get their share of Lu Fan's points, they won't follow him anymore. With the bets placed, Lu Fan begins to warm up, clearly excited for what's about to unfold. Fengyun, realizing Lu Fan must have a plan, assumes he will summon his dragon pet. He orders Su Jing to cast a spell, and Su Jing agrees, shouting for everyone to prepare for battle. Meanwhile, Lu Fan stands calmly, observing the chaos with a grin. Cool as a cucumber, as always. The battle begins. Su Jing casts his confinement lock spell, sending crimson-red chains toward Lu Fan, binding him from head to toe. The spell prevents movement and skill usage for 5 seconds. Confident that Lu Fan won't be able to summon his dragon, Fengyun lunges forward with his comrades, aiming to land a powerful blow. But to their utter shock, Lu Fan effortlessly breaks free from the chains and blocks the attack with his big black mashite. Fengyun is stunned, unable to comprehend how Lu Fan broke the spell so easily. Before he can react, Lu Fan grabs him by the collar and performs a 360-degree flip, slamming him into the ground. The crowd goes wild, cheering as they witness Lu Fan effortlessly take down Fengyun with his bare hands. Even Su Jing's control spell is rendered useless. The Fengyun Pavilion is left in disbelief, unable to process what's happening. Refusing to back down, the pavilion's mage sneaks behind Lu Fan and casts the stiffness spell, hoping to slow him down. The spell reduces movement and attack speed by 75% for a second. The mage signals the other long-range attackers to fire everything they've got at Lu Fan. As the dust and smoke clear, Lu Fan emerges, smiling, asking if this is really their plan to defeat the top freshman. He slams his foot into Fengyun's face while Fengyun, in disbelief, asks what happened to the spell. Su Jing, baffled, explains that the spell is working. Lu Fan's speed has indeed been reduced by 75%, but even at 25%, he's still faster than anyone else. Lu Fan, smiling, looks down at Fengyun, telling him not to blame his friends. It's just that Lu Fan has a few dragon pet bonuses, and his attributes are a bit too high. Skills that are lower level simply don't work on him. Fengyun, feeling the pressure, puts on his blindfold and immediately activates his afterimage skill, a trick he practiced before. The Fengyun Pavilion cheers, thinking their leader has finally pulled out his trump card. This was Fengyun's special move, and they believe Lu Fan is finally in trouble. But Su Jing can't understand just how wide the gap between their abilities is. Despite Fengyun's skills being active, they have no effect on Lu Fan. One by one, Lu Fan easily defeats all the mirages Fengyun creates. He even compliments Fengyun's move, admitting it was pretty cool, but it's time to end things. Lu Fan begins to materialize a massive fireball, large enough to obliterate the entire arena. He tells Fengyun that since he claimed to be number 1 in the freshman assessment, Lu Fan won't hold back. It's time to show his true power he didn't even reveal to Chen Qianzi during the competition. Fengyun, realizing something serious is coming, watches in disbelief as Lu Fan summons the legendary Black Dragon in its World Destroyer form through the fireball. The dragon, engulfed in intense flames, instantly burns away the remaining mirages. The entire Fengyun Pavilion starts running in terror as the massive dragon rises, covering the sky and blocking out the sun. One of Fengyun's teammates pulls out a phone to record the chaos, while the others scream for help, terrified because they've never seen a real dragon before, let alone one this powerful. Yeah, no amount of practice prepares you for that. Fengyun, now with his blindfold off, stares at the black dragon in its destroyer form, realizing this dragon is on an entirely different level than the fake dragon tamers he's faced before. His team begs him to escape, but Fengyun knows he's made a huge mistake. Lu Fan warns him to brace himself and not fall down just yet, as his counterattack is coming. The dragon howls, and Lu Fan unleashes a pressure attack, causing fear, immobilization, and stunning effects on all enemies within a wide range. The entire pavilion is hit, and though they try to run, they're completely paralyzed. They want to scream for help, but they can't. Fengyun, too, realizes he's powerless against someone as strong as Lu Fan. His body won't obey him, leaving him frozen in place. Finally, Lu Fan grins and pulls out his card, asking Fengyun if he now understands who the true number 1 in the academy is. With that, Lu Fan collects all of the Fengyun Pavilion's points minus 12,041 in total, far surpassing the original 17,000 wager. Fengyun collapses, fainting from the overwhelming defeat. Meanwhile, the girl recording the fight captures the moment as Xiao Yi approaches Lu Fan. Lu Fan acknowledges her, telling her the mission is complete, though he still has some important business to attend to, as if defeating an entire pavilion wasn't enough for one day. Meanwhile, at the Dragon Academy points room, Lu Fan is on the phone with Hin, boasting about the massive number of points he earned from the match. He promises to share some of his winnings once he gets back to the villa. Hin, excited, suggests throwing a party to celebrate the victory, but Lu Fan has more pressing matters on his mind. Just then, someone steps into the points room. It's none other than the beautiful senior sister, dressed in the same striking black outfit. She approaches Lu Fan, asking if he was really waiting for her. Lu Fan, grinning, replies that there's no point in competing with anyone else. If he truly wants to learn, it's by challenging someone like her. After all, she's over level 70. This leaves the senior sister momentarily stunned. She glances toward the entrance, noticing the minimum level set to 70. Even Lu Fan pieces it together. She isn't a student at all, but someone far beyond what he initially thought. The vice principal kneels down, checking Jiang Fengyun's pulse after the fierce battle ends. As he surveys the arena, still filled with members of the Fengyun Pavilion, he realizes that Lu Fan truly understands the importance of taking the right action at the right time. Remarkably, despite the intensity of the fight, no one's life is in danger. Meanwhile, back in the points room, the senior sister teasingly asks Lu Fan if he set a trap for her to walk into. According to her, Lu Fan is really becoming quite the troublemaker. Lu Fan quickly defends himself, telling her it wasn't a scam. The level limit of the points room is clearly posted on the door, and since she entered willingly, it must mean she's over level 70. Definitely not a student. The lady, slightly annoyed, asks if she's not a senior. Then who does he think she is? Lu Fan, puzzled, reflects on her appearance. She looks young, just like a senior, but her strength is far beyond that of any student. She must be a teacher, he concludes. The lady bursts out laughing, amused by his guess. She tells Lu Fan that regardless of the situation, she is still his senior. Then her demeanor shifts as she steps closer, commenting that this time he didn't cover his handsome face, making it much more pleasant to look at him. Suddenly, her tone becomes serious again. She warns Lu Fan not to dig too deep into who she is. If he wants to see her again, the points room must not be set at level 70 or higher, otherwise she won't return. Lu Fan, a bit nervous, promises he won't set the level too high, though he had been thinking of setting it to 80 next time. Guess that's off the table now. As if on cue, the lady is engulfed in flames once more, her black dress disappearing as her sexy armor returns. She compliments Lu Fan, remarking that after seeing her fighting technique, he immediately used it during his battle with Jiang Fengyun. Looks like our boy's a quick learner. Hearing the praise, Lu Fan starts to smile as he materializes his big black mashi, realizing that the senior sister must have been watching the entire battle in the arena. She begins explaining how it shocked the audience when Lu Fan summoned his dragon pet so quickly and how, even after counterattacking, he knocked down Fengyun with lightning speed. She adds that his quick reactions were a testament to the speed he honed in the points room. Flattered by the compliments, Lu Fan scratches his head and thanks her for her guidance, admitting he still has many weaknesses when it comes to melee combat skills. Suddenly, without warning, the lady materializes her fire trident and lunges at him. Lu Fan, caught off guard, can barely comprehend what's happening. Her demeanor shifts, dead serious now, as she tells him that while he's made great progress, he's still far from being able to boast about it. A little humility goes a long way. Realizing his mistake, Lu Fan quickly apologizes, telling her he wasn't trying to be modest, he genuinely wants to keep learning. He then starts buttering her up, praising her skills and kindness, saying she treats him like a younger brother, especially with how she taught him last time and even gave him 100 points. Determined to improve, Lu Fan insists that if she continues to guide him, he'll make rapid progress, even offering to pay her for the lessons. Our boy really knows how to keep her around. The lady laughs heartily, telling Lu Fan he's quite good at building relationships. She declines the tuition offer but puts a playful condition on him. If he wants to keep learning from her, he has to bring her some enchanted food from his house, especially since she's heard he has a big sister who's also a great cook. Lu Fan smiles, agreeing that it's no problem, thinking to himself that even though his aunt isn't his real sister, it's practically the same. With the food talk settled, the lady turns serious again and asks what else Lu Fan learned in the arena. Granting, Lu Fan readies his mashi, but the lady's expression turns fierce. It's fight mode now. As the two clash, the lady compliments Lu Fan on his increasing speed. But then with a devilish smile, she makes a tempting offer. If Lu Fan can land just one hit on her, she'll reward him with a new weapon. Lu Fan, confused, barely has time to process her words before she leaps into the air and smacks him in the face with her thighs, almost as if she's belly dancing. She teasingly tells him that his current weapons can no longer keep up with his skills, and the same goes for her own. She jokes about whether she should use a fire trident with a longer handle next. Setting the joke aside, Lu Fan realizes that his big black meshi has been with him for a long time, but he's grown attached to it, especially the special effects that come with it. As the lady launches another attack, she playfully asks him what he really wants besides a new weapon. Lu Fan, though tempted, avoids confessing his real feelings and instead says he wants the enchantment scroll. The moment he mentions that name, the lady freezes in shock. She's stunned that Lu Fan even knows what that powerful enchantment is. Looks like things just got serious. The lady lunges at Lu Fan, her expression filled with anger, asking if he even realizes how rare and expensive the item he's demanding is. Lu Fan, unprepared, tries to tell her to wait, but she's too furious to listen. She snaps at him, saying she wants him to go to hell for asking something so outrageous. Her words pierce through Lu Fan, leaving him speechless. Later in the evening, we find Lu Fan back at the villa. He complains to his aunt, telling her he wasn't able to land a single hit on the senior sister all afternoon, and now his entire body is sore from taking so many hits. Meanwhile, Kin sits nearby, focused on her tablet, while the aunt, clearly shaken, tells Lu Fan she was scared to death during his battle with Jiang Fengyun, thinking they were going to fight to the death. According to some information she heard from Nian Ying, the senior sister probably isn't a teacher at the academy. At least, the girl has never met her before. Suddenly, Kin pipes up, informing Lu Fan that he's becoming popular on the school forum again, thanks to the video the Fengyun Pavilion uploaded, which included footage of him alongside the legendary Black Dragon. Lu Fan's aunt watches the video and smiles, pleased that the whole school now knows he won, believing this will settle all the previous disputes. Lu Fan, still baffled, wonders how anyone managed to record the chaos during the battle. Some people just have perfect timing, I guess. Nian Yang, now curious, teases Lu Fan, saying that after defeating their leader, he should become the new idol of the Fengyun Pavilion. But Lu Fan, too exhausted, only wants to focus on recovery. He'd seen this kind of attention when the results were first posted, so now he knew better than to get caught up in the hype. He reminds them that they should just focus on their goals. Hearing this, Nian Yang grows curious, wondering what exactly Lu Fan's goal is. Later in the spider's secret realm, Lu Fan continues leveling up. Nian Yang struggles to understand why his goal is just leveling up. She assumed he was focused on learning new techniques from his seniors. Lu Fan explains her that if he can upgrade his level, he'll have an advantage over his seniors. Just as he battles the spider monsters back-to-back with ferocious attacks, Lu Fan suddenly feels it. He's finally reached level 30. Overjoyed, Lu Fan calls everyone over to open the treasure chest, celebrating his new level. Qin congratulates him, while the aunt can barely stop herself from vomiting at the sight of the lifeless spider bodies. Min and Nian Yang are equally excited, knowing that now Lu Fan has hit level 30, he can finally visit the job transfer hall and upgrade his class to the second level. Lu Fan emerges from the secret realm, with Qin eagerly awaiting to see what happens after his second job transfer. As soon as the students turn around and recognize him, the one who single-handedly defeated Chen Qianzi and the Fengyun Pavilion, chaos ensues. Boys and girls alike swarm him, eager for selfies, autographs, and handshakes. It quickly becomes overwhelming, separating Lu Fan from the rest of his group. Nian Yang and Min step out to witness the spectacle, with Nian Yang burning with jealousy and Min in disbelief at how popular Lu Fan has become with the girls because of his success. Lu Fan's aunt, seeing no other option, quickly hatches a plan to disguise him again. 10 minutes later, Lu Fan is once again dressed in his regular undercover outfit, mask and goggles included, as people frantically search for him, hoping for a photo op. The disguise works like a charm. Qin breathes a sigh of relief, grateful they've escaped the mob, but Lu Fan feels a little down, lamenting how he has to go out incognito every time now. Min, feeling a bit envious, jokes that she wishes she had a bunch of handsome guys chasing after her. Meanwhile, Nian Yang, also visibly jealous, changes the topic, pointing out that there's no historical record of a second job transfer for Dragon Tamer. This means there's no reference material to guide Lu Fan through the process. Qin, ever the optimist, reassures Lu Fan, saying he's about to make history. Even Lu Fan realizes this is uncharted territory. He'll have to rely solely on himself to navigate the job transfer. Finally, Min pats him on the shoulder, announcing they've arrived at the job transfer hall. All the ladies give Lu Fan encouraging smiles, reminding him that the ceremony must be conducted alone. Though they can't join him, Lu Fan reassures them not to worry, saying he'll figure it out somehow. He taps his student card onto the podium and enters a circular chamber where it's announced that the second stage transfer is ready. While many branches are available, there's no existing information about a Dragon Tamer's job transfer. Lu Fan realizes that typically job transfers are recorded for future reference, but no such record exists for Dragon Tamers. Despite the challenge, he decides to explore the system and understand his options. A blue light envelops him and 3 multicolored notifications appear before him. The first is Dragon Priest, a path focused on healing, recovery, and major enchantments. It emphasizes buffing dragon pets to increase their output, but the user's own abilities take a backseat. The second option is Dragon Spellcaster, which is closer to a mage's path. Choosing this would allow Lu Fan to learn dragon magic, absorb his dragon pet's skills, and use them himself. Finally, Flame Dragon Warrior is entirely focused on strength and endurance, teaching more melee and damage-reducing skills while even allowing Lu Fan to transform into a dragon to fight in a giant form. Lu Fan feels torn, realizing each option forces him to sacrifice one aspect of his combat style for another. None of the options seem to align perfectly with his combat preferences. But then something catches his eye. A 4th notification appears. Dragon Rider. A massive armor with a cape materializes before him as Lu Fan reads that this branch allows him to energize his skills with his dragon pets, making them even more powerful when paired together. This path doesn't limit him to a specific combat style, allowing him to develop in all directions and enhancing his fighting abilities in combination with his dragons. This is it. Lu Fan realizes this path perfectly fits his style. He's always liked to fight alongside his dragons, relying on both himself and his pets to take on challenges. Finally, he makes his decision. Dragon Rider it is. Meanwhile, back to the ladies waiting outside the hall. They're growing more nervous by the minute. Min wonders why it's taking so long, and with each passing moment, their anxiety only increases. The aunt turns to Min, trying to calm her down, telling her not to be nervous. But it's clear she's more anxious than anyone else. Min notices, unable to hide her concern. Nian Yang, calm and composed, reassures everyone that Lu Fan is exploring new possibilities and his choice might even change the rules of this era. Naturally, he's being careful. Qin adds that they should trust Lu Fan, especially now, because the 800-year decline of dragon-related professions is about to end. Suddenly, the door opens and Lu Fan steps out. The ladies being with happiness, relieved that the ceremony is over. They eagerly ask him about the profession he chose. As they walk back, Lu Fan reveals that he's now a dragon rider, with his contract slots increased from 2 to 3. Min, curious, wonders if Lu Fan needs to learn to ride for his new profession to work. Lu Fan explains that one reason he chose Dragon Rider is because he already obtained a dragon riding saddle in the cemetery's secret realm. As long as his dragon pets reach level 30, he can ride them. He also mentions that now, with his 3rd contract slot unlocked, he can finally tame the Star Dragon. His aunt, teasingly, says the thought of him riding 2 dragon pets feels a little weird. Laughing, Lu Fan turns to her and warns her not to imagine anything strange, explaining that he will only ride his dragon pets in their full dragon forms, not their human forms. Just as he finishes, he spots the senior sister near the villa. She walks over, playfully telling Lu Fan she should have given him her contact information earlier since he's wasted quite a bit of time. Min quickly realizes this is the senior who trained Lu Fan until exhaustion, and she, like everyone else, can't help but be mesmerized by the lady's beauty. The senior sister smiles, assuming Lu Fan has told them a lot about her. She then approaches his aunt, asking if she's the enchanted cook. The aunt confirms, and the senior sister asks if she can borrow Lu Fan for a while. Everyone is momentarily stunned, but the senior sister clarifies they need to run errands in Dragon City and tells them not to get any strange ideas. The aunt quickly agrees, saying that after all the guidance Lu Fan has received from her, there's no need to ask permission. She even invites them to dinner once they're done. With a grin, the senior sister grabs Lu Fan's hand, accidentally brushing against her chest, and thanks the aunt before taking him along. Lu Fan is shocked that no one cares about his opinion in all of this. He feels a bit down, especially since he was just about to tame the Star Dragon, but now this unexpected turn of events has him following her instead. The senior sister casually tells him to change into something more stylish before they head off. Later, Lu Fan joins her in her speeding car, most likely breaking all the speed limits. He reads a message warning him to be cautious around the senior sister, as she isn't even a teacher at the academy. His unease grows. The camera zooms out, showing Lu Fan looking sharp but still silent. The senior sister notices and asks why he's so quiet and what's bothering him. Lu Fan hesitates before asking where they're going. Smiling slyly, she reveals they still need to buy the super rare consumable he requested as a gift. Realizing what she's talking about, Lu Fan's excitement quickly returns. This ride just got a whole lot more interesting. After a long drive, Lu Fan and the senior sister arrive at the Longdu auction house, just as the auction is about to start. Lu Fan quickly realizes why they're here. The enchantment scroll he's been eyeing is up for auction. The senior sister encourages him to seize the opportunity and buy the scroll, but Lu Fan can't help but remember the ridiculous bid the vice principal placed during the secret realm of the cemetery auction. He's sure this rare scroll will be just as expensive, if not more. Worried, Lu Fan suggests they forget about it. The senior sister, smiling as always, reassures him not to worry. She confidently tells Lu Fan that she's far richer than he could ever imagine. However, Lu Fan feels uneasy. He doesn't want to owe her anything, especially before knowing her true identity. He insists that somehow he'll find a way to pay for it himself. But before he can think any further, the auction begins. The first item up for bid is indeed the rare enchantment scroll, which can remove level restrictions on equipment. The starting price is an astounding 95 million dragon coins, and within moments the bids soar to 200 million. Lu Fan's hope of paying for it himself starts to crumble as the price skyrockets. Then the senior sister makes a bold bid of 230 million dragon coins. She leans in, telling Lu Fan that this is a good lesson in bidding, but before he can process it, a voice from behind announces a new bid of 300 million dragon coins. It's none other than the bratty princess of the Heike Kingdom, who also has her eyes on the enchantment scroll. Lu Fan is baffled as to why the princess needs the scroll, while the senior sister recognizes her immediately. She explains to Lu Fan that the princess's family is extremely wealthy and bidding against her might make more enemies. Lu Fan, still confused, asks how she knows so much about the princess. The senior sister simply replies that she's a well-informed woman and is also aware of what happened between Lu Fan and the Chen Tianzi. Determined to help Lu Fan vent his frustrations, the senior sister assures him that he shouldn't even think of paying for the scroll. It's her gift to him. Without hesitation, she raises the stakes and bids 400 million dragon coins. The princess, annoyed and unwilling to back down, tries to maintain her composure as her minion informs her they brought 500 million dragon coins to the auction. The senior sister, not missing a beat, immediately changes her bid to 500 million, shocking everyone in the auction house. Even the announcer declares there's no higher bid possible, and the scroll is sold to the senior sister. The princess is furious, unable to comprehend who would dare challenge her. But she doesn't realize the world doesn't revolve around her, and this time she's not getting her way. As the crowd applauds the senior sister's successful bid, the princess's minion finally recognizes Lu Fan standing with her. The princess, filled with contempt, dismisses him as low-class trash trying to interfere with her business. Little does she know that she'd be in for another rune awakening if Lu Fan heard her words. The minion tries to calm the princess, suggesting they can buy an identical enchantment scroll elsewhere. But the bratty princess, ever defiant, flexes her older brother's power, bragging that he'll teach everyone a lesson since she knows she can't handle it herself. At least she's got some self-awareness. Later, Lu Fan and the senior sister are now seated in the VIP lounge of the auction house. A lady in a red dress enters the room and immediately recognizes the senior sister. The red dress flatters the woman's figure, and the senior sister warmly hugs her, apologizing for not telling her in advance that they were coming. Looks like this auction just got even more interesting. The lady playfully scolds the senior sister for not at least saying hello when she arrives at the auction house, noting that the senior always spends a lot of money on small things each time. It's part of the lady's job to cater to her. As she speaks, her attention shifts to Lu Fan, a new face in the auction house. The senior sister introduces him as her junior, and adds that the enchanted scroll she bought was a gift for him. The lady, with a curious expression, introduces herself as Sister Du Yaqiu, the boss of the auction house. She warmly tells Lu Fan that if he ever wants to buy something unusual in the future, he's welcome to come by and browse. Lu Fan introduces himself as well, still processing the surprise that the senior sister knows the auction house owner so well. The bigger shock comes when Sister Du Yaqiu reveals that the senior sister is actually her sister-in-law, and she runs the auction house with her brother. This revelation catches Lu Fan off guard, suddenly making sense of the senior sister's seemingly endless spending ability. Realizing how deep the connection runs, Lu Fan insists on repaying the money for the scroll someday, although the amount minus 480 million dragon coins is overwhelming. The senior sister, unfazed, tells him to come and check out his new gift. Lu Fan, grinning like a kid, is excited at the possibilities. With this enchantment scroll, he can finally eliminate the level 60 requirement on the soul wing of the Flying Dragon King, allowing him to equip it immediately and take to the skies. While Lu Fan is wrapped up in his excitement, Sister Du Yashu and the senior sister chat among themselves about rare item donations and something called an illustrated book. Jokingly, the senior sister tells Lu Fan that he now has to think about how he's going to repay the 500 million dragon coins, as there's no escaping it. Sometimes it's hard to tell if she's flirting or just teasing him, Lu Fan thinks. Curious about their conversation, Lu Fan asks what they're talking about. The senior sister explains that this was part of the reason she brought him to the auction house. She picks up a tablet and shows him something. She reveals the secret to why she can buy expensive items from the auction house without a second thought. It's the treasure book collection system. As long as Lu Fan collects items that aren't already listed in the illustrated book of the auction house, he can earn money just by adding them. The price of truly rare treasures is often hard to estimate, but entering them into the book guarantees a payout of 3% of their estimated value. As Lu Fan scrolls through the tablet, he spots a treasure weapon with a level 80 requirement. He realizes he doesn't need to sell these rare items. Just submitting them into the book will earn him 3% of their value. This scheme promotes the auction house, but it's also pretty profitable for treasure holders. Lu Fan understands that with this method, he can pay back the 500 million dragon coins fairly quickly. A sudden idea strikes him. He immediately pulls out the soul wing of the Dragon King and asks Sister Du Yashu to appraise it. She instantly recognizes it as a legendary level 60 flying wing, the best of the best. She estimates its value to be at least 2 billion dragon coins. Lu Fan, without hesitation, decides to enter it into the treasure book, securing himself a cool 60 million dragon coins from the 3% cut. Easy money, he thinks, though he knows it's still far from the 500 million he owes. With confidence, Lu Fan tells Sister Du Yashu that he has an even rarer treasure to offer. At first, the lady is skeptical. What could be rarer than the flying wing? But when Lu Fan pulls out the blue dragon egg, both Sister Du Yashu and the senior sister are left speechless. The senior sister and Sister Du Yashu stare in awe as they realize it's none other than the legendary star dragon egg. In shock, Sister Du Yashu quickly pieces everything together. This boy in front of her is none other than Lu Fan, the dragon tamer from the southern province. Seeing the dragon egg, the senior sister turns to Lu Fan and asks if, aside from the black dragon, he now has another dragon. Lu Fan, after a brief moment of thought, realizes that if he counts the 2 dragon kings summoned by his bone flute, he now has 5 dragons. It's too bad he fed the bone flute to the emerald dragon. He could have recorded it in the treasure catalog and made some money. The sister-in-law, still in shock, acknowledges that while the soul wing with no level restrictions was a supreme treasure, this dragon egg is truly unprecedented. She quickly takes back what she said earlier, telling Lu Fan that some treasures are so valuable they can't be appraised for a price. Lu Fan wonders aloud if the dragon egg can't be recorded, but the sister-in-law clings to him, practically begging him to record it in the treasure catalog. With this dragon egg, their auction house's reputation would spread across the nation or even the world. This was their chance to go down in history. Meanwhile, the senior sister reflects on the sheer potential of owning a dragon. Just having one gives someone the hope of becoming the best in the world. And here was Lu Fan with several dragon eggs at his disposal, an extraordinary feat for someone his age. The sister-in-law, not one to miss an opportunity, starts negotiating with Lu Fan. She offers him an incredible deal. If he records the dragon egg in their catalog, he can come to the auction house once a month, and if he likes something, he can take it. No matter the price, the auction house will cover it. Lu Fan, seeing the immense privilege of obtaining rare items once a month, finds it impossible to refuse. Finally, he agrees, telling her to record both the soul wing and the dragon egg in the treasure catalog. However, he still wants to know when the privilege begins. Overjoyed, the sister-in-law hands him her tablet and tells him the privilege starts immediately. Lu Fan grins, knowing he has an item he wants to take away for free right now. With that done, Lu Fan and the senior sister exit the auction house, and Lu Fan informs the sister-in-law that he's using his privilege to take the scroll of enhancement. The senior sister, irritated, scolds Lu Fan, reminding him that she wasn't in a rush from the 500 million. But Lu Fan sees no problem. His deal is effective immediately, and he chooses the level removal scroll. The senior sister, still grumbling, suspects that the sister-in-law got too greedy, quickly waiving the 500 million auction price without a second thought. Now she can't even ask for interest. Lu Fan, however, is unfazed, mentioning that he'll have to remember to come back every month to claim his prize since the auction house has recorded so many rare items. As they step outside, they notice a large screen showing the updated treasure catalog. The audience is buzzing with excitement. It's been ages since the auction house has found a treasure worth noting, and today might be their lucky day. People are eager to see the new edition. To Lu Fan's surprise, both his soul wing and dragon egg have already made it to the list, and the audience is in shock. Screams of excitement erupt when they realize the new listing is a dragon egg, something that could potentially destroy nations. The crowd goes wild, with people demanding information from auction agents offering to sell everything they own just for a chance to buy the egg. Some frantically call their higher-ups, reporting the dragon egg sighting with urgency. Lu Fan, realizing the gravity of the situation, understands that the auction house's popularity is about to explode. But the senior sister snaps him out of his thoughts, warning him that now isn't the time to celebrate. People will go crazy trying to see the dragon egg, and if they don't get out of there soon, they might be trapped inside the auction house overnight. Chaos breaks out as the crowd turns into a frenzied mob, pushing and shoving their way into the auction house, desperate for a glimpse of the dragon egg. VIPs and higher-ups are trampled in the frenzy as the situation spirals out of control. In the midst of the madness, Lu Fan and the senior sister finally making it out unharmed. The senior sister is visibly annoyed by the chaotic pushing and pulling inside the auction house. Meanwhile, the lady regrets not negotiating a better deal with her sister-in-law, wishing she had asked for 3 or 4 rare items a month for Lu Fan instead of just one. Realizing the chaos around him, Lu Fan begins to feel frustrated. He starts regretting his quick agreement to the lady's offer. Just one treasure item a month might not be worth it after all, he thinks. But despite this, he smiles and asks the senior sister where her car is. To his surprise, she spins the keys, winking at him, and says the car is transformed into a beautiful bike. Lu Fan, still confused about where the car they came in went, is told by the lady that she returned it to her sister-in-law and her bike has been parked at the auction house for quite some time. Blushing slightly, Lu Fan realizes that unlike most people who would summon a mount or use a driver, the senior sister loves driving herself. We even get a nice view of the lady's back as she tells Lu Fan to hold tight to her waist. She warns him that if he falls off the bike, she won't come back to pick him up. Though flustered, Lu Fan hops onto the bike, but the moment he touches the seat, the lady speeds off, laughing as the wind rushes by them. Enjoying the thrill, she teasingly asks Lu Fan if he's scared, even with his newfound agility and endurance after his second transformation. Shocked, Lu Fan realizes the senior sister knows about his second transformation too. She goes on, remarking that with his new transformation, he should now have 3 pet slots, but she's puzzled as to why Lu Fan hasn't hatched the blue star egg yet. Then, like a bolt of lightning, the realization hits her. Lu Fan already has 2 dragons, and this egg will be his third. As they zip through the streets, Lu Fan becomes concerned and tells her to keep her eyes on the road. He confirms that he indeed has 3 dragons. The lady, smiling his luck, comments that dragons are like gods. Many people spend their whole lives searching for just one, and here he is with 3 at such a young age. But Lu Fan, now more curious, asks why the senior sister keeps helping him, and when he'll finally learn her true identity. The lady falls silent for a few moments before responding. She tells him it's too early for that, and he still has to complete his first trial. Lu Fan, unfamiliar with the term, listens as the lady explains that a special envoy from the academy will soon come to assess whether he qualifies for the national trial. To pass this first trial, he'll need the envoy's approval. She shares her concern, mentioning that this time the envoy is over level 70, so they might target him. Rather than getting nervous, Lu Fan starts laughing, guessing that maybe the academy sent the senior sister to help him pass the trial. Although the lady doesn't confirm or deny it, she asks why he's laughing. Lu Fan boldly tells her that with her as his sparring partner, any envoy should pray for their life because he's going to take the national trial and anyone who tries to stand in his way is asking for trouble. Hearing this, the senior sister can't help but smile and laugh as well, commenting on how confident he is. She urges Lu Fan to leave the envoys no choice but to acknowledge him. However, as she looks up at the full moon, she realizes it's already midnight and worries because she promised the ladies at Villa Number 1 that she would bring Lu Fan back tonight. At that moment, Lu Fan pulls out the soul wing from his inventory. As the lady prepares to accelerate, Lu Fan surprises her by asking her to hold his hand, which makes the senior sister blush. With 2 large wings now equipped, Lu Fan tells her that for the last stretch, they're going to fly back to the villa together. The poor bike, however, is left airborne, bound to crash and ruin itself due to the couple's carelessness. Rest in peace, bike. What a tragic end. Lu Fan leaves the senior sister near her house and politely asks if she really doesn't need him to walk her to the door. She waves him off, assuring him it's all fine. As Lu Fan flies away, the lady can't help but feel impressed by his honesty. She muses that most men would insist on escorting her all the way to uncover her identity, but Lu Fan isn't like that. Not bad, she thinks, as she finds his honesty refreshing. Suddenly, she remembers that Lu Fan left her bike up in the air, and now it's probably blown into pieces. Poor bike, she sighs. Back at the villa, Lu Fan sits between the 2 dragon ladies, feeling tired after the long flight. However, he's now more proficient with his soul wings. Finally, with nothing holding him back, he tells the dragon ladies to prepare. He's about to hatch the star dragon egg. The black dragon looks surprised, and the emerald dragon stirs from her nap. Lu Fan reminds them that despite their previous disagreements, they'll need to live in harmony from now on. With that, he begins channeling his aura into the star dragon egg, summoning the third dragon to take the final contract slot. As he uses his dragon Tamer skill, a brilliant blue light radiates from the egg, blinding Lu Fan and the dragons. Meanwhile, the emerald dragon happily munches on the cracking eggshells. Suddenly, stars fill the room, and a new dragon appears, a black dragon with blue wings and a starry aura. It's the star dragon in its baby form. At level 1, its stats are already impressive: 795 strength, 276 agility, and 109 spirit. Its skills include Broken Star, which generates a star that crashes into enemies, dealing massive area damage. It also has Starlight Scale armor, absorbing damage for 60 seconds and then reflecting it back at enemies. Another skill, Star Surge, increases endurance over time, making it stronger in prolonged battles. And of course, the Star Dragon Bloodline reduces all attribute damage by 50% and enhances self-recovery by 500%. Lu Fan picks up the new dragon, realizing it's a physical combat type. With an initial strength of 795, it's as strong as Sha Fei, but twice as powerful as Xiao Yi's initial attributes. He's excited, thinking that once the Star Dragon reaches level 20, its strength could easily surpass tens of thousands, even without buffs from the Emerald Dragon. As Lu Fan contemplates the dragon's abilities, the Star Dragon notices the Emerald Dragon eating the eggshells and rushes over, slapping them out of her hands. Lu Fan chuckles, still thinking about the Broken Star skill and how lethal it could be. He plans to test it in a dungeon soon. Turning his attention back to the dragons, Lu Fan notices the Star Dragon eating her own eggshells. Then he realizes this dragon is female. Following tradition, he prepares to give her a name. After some thought and many attempts, he settles on Xingqian, meaning star. However, both dragon ladies are unimpressed, and the Emerald Dragon even starts crying, feeling sorry for the lack of creativity. Defending himself, Lu Fan explains that it's just a name and there's no need to be upset. But before any more arguments can erupt, he notices that Fengyun has already fallen asleep. Perfect, Lu Fan thinks. With the two dragon ladies constantly bickering, it's good to have someone who just wants to nap. In the Taiki country, within the Wanli Sand area, a region notorious for its level 60 to 70 challenges, a chilling scene unfolds. Multiple skeletons are tied to crosses, with two large cars parked nearby and a bonfire flickering in the wind. Several people camp at the site, and among them stands a man in a long cape. His name is Chenghen. Staring intently at his phone, Chenghen looks troubled, and someone asks him what's wrong. He replies that he just received a call from his little sister. It turns out his bratty younger sibling had been urging him to take revenge on someone. The conversation reveals that Chenghen is none other than the brother of the bratty princess, a formidable level 60 individual and a newly ranked top professional in the kingdom. Two female professionals nearby inquire if his sister is struggling with her studies abroad, but Chenghen dismisses the idea, explaining that she has been pestering him about a trashy boy who had the audacity to hit her more than once. As Chenghen continues recounting his sister's complaints, a massive monster with a gaping mouth emerges from the lake behind him. Unfazed, Chenghen explains that his sister has always been spoiled since childhood. One man in a lab coat asks Chenghen if he plans to go to the Dragon Kingdom now. Chenghen agrees, and at that moment, with a flick of red energy, he effortlessly slices the massive centipede-like creature in half. Gleaming with a red aura, Chenghen declares that as a loving brother, he is determined to rid his sister of all her troubles. Additionally, with the preparations for the national trial underway, he plans to pass through the secret realm of opportunity one more time. Chenghen adds that once he acquires the final piece of the cursed equipment set, he'll head to the Dragon Kingdom. There, he'll not only help his sister, but also scout out the competition for the national trial. His ambition is clear. This year's #1 must be him. His companions assure him that he'll undoubtedly win the national trial as the lifeless body of the giant creature lays shattered into pieces on the ground. A week has passed since Lu Fan obtained the Star Dragon. With no disruptions, his life has returned to normal. Lu Fan continues training with the senior sister, sparring with her regularly. She teases him, saying if he ever manages to land a hit on her, she'll take him to Manhwa. During the weekdays, Lu Fan's team continues to level up in the Poison Spider Forest, and the progress is impressive. The Emerald Dragon reaches level 22, the Star Dragon hits level 11, and the Black Dragon is now at level 29. Lu Fan himself is now at level 32, with Xin at level 30, Nai and Ying at level 31, and Min also reaching level 32. They are all ready for their second-class transfers, and Min is particularly thrilled about the prospect of entering the advanced dungeons. However, Lu Fan's aunt, even though she's also level 32, doesn't share the same enthusiasm. Watching everything unfold, Lu Fan smiles, knowing that his entire team is about to become even stronger. Together, they'll be able to take on areas above level 30 with ease, and the future looks more promising than ever for his group. And that was it for today. I hope that you liked today's video, and if you did, hit that like button as today's like goal is 1,500 likes. Comment another part down below for the next part. Also, consider subscribing with the notification bell on to get notified as soon as a new video drops onto the channel. You can also join the channel to support me financially and watch videos before public release. I'll meet you in the next video. Until then, thanks for watching.